Pearson Jeffries Cigar and Coffee Lounge presents The Chimney Effect. With your host, Jeff, also known as El Jefe, Mike, also known as Big Smoke, and Lance, also known as Be More Smooth.
Welcome everybody back to The Chimney Effect. I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I'm sorry I'm pausing, but I'm lighting this beautiful Cuban shade cigar, not new actually, one of the cigars on the Pearson Jeffries cigar line. I'm sitting here with my boy Stu and my man Lance, and this is the next addition to The Chimney Effect. What we're smoking today is a Cuban shade cigar, added to the line about 2 years ago. It is a Nicaraguan Connecticut shade cigar with a Havana 2000 binder and a Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. I'm trying to get this right while we're on camera here. And I think I got it. This cigar is called Cuban Shade just for that. It is one of the best Connecticut shade cigars I think that we offer. It is a medium body Connecticut shade that has some spice to it. It's still very smooth, creamy, but it definitely lays on the palate a little. But for a beginner and a novice, this is a great cigar, and I believe that enthusiasts would like it as well. How was you guys' holidays?
Oh, I had a pretty decent holiday. The weather has cooperated. The people, for the most part, have cooperated, and the spirit of the holidays has touched most of the people I've come in contact with.
How about you, Lance?
For me, Christmas time is always one of the best times of the year for me. So, in my 37 years here, I don't think I ever had a bad Christmas from a kid to now. I think I enjoy them a little more now just because, the smiles you get to see on your kids, your wife's face, and just being around family in general. It's always a great time. We all doing our own thing during the year with work, the hustle and bustle of life, so we don't get to connect with each other. So that, for me, is the highlight of every holiday season. Okay,
good. I'm glad you had a good holiday, man. The Cuban Shade, man, I know that this is one of your favorites. Can you tell me why?
Well, for me, it was probably the first Connecticut that I ever had that I liked. And it stayed as my top cigar until recently. When did Black Label come out?
About a year and a half ago.
You guys, we haven't previewed that yet, but this was my favorite cigar up until that came out. One reason I liked it, though, is because it doesn't fit the profile of something that I would typically go for. It's very smooth, very nutty, earthy, very little spice, and I usually like a little more spice in my cigars. But to me, the taste of this is unmatched.
Yeah, I think in this size, though, and I mean, I'm smoking the Torpedo, 6 1/8 by 52. In this size, I get a little bit more spice than I would in a regular Toro or a Sublimis. Stu, you smoking a Churchill.
I am.
It should burn a little cooler, and it should be a little smoother, actually, than this.
It's actually very, very smooth. I call you the king of the big ring cigar. You have definitely stepped up the Connecticut game. Typically, Connecticut's don't have any complexity to it. This is right in the middle, to me, or not even the middle. You got on one end, very spicy, Magnifico. On the other end, you have this, and right in the middle, you have your cedar, which I believe matches very, very well with a novice as well as an aficionado. This one here tastes excellent. Like Brother Lance says, doesn't have a whole lot of spice, but it does have some spice, and it tastes spectacular.
Ray Rhythms, is this the air conditioner or the heating system, kind of screwing up our sound? Are we good?
We can edit that out.
You think we should turn it off?
We're good. Yeah. So, fellas, as I listened to the last podcast, which unfortunately I was unable to partake in.
Best one we ever had.
Oh, it was. Absolutely.
Well, we're getting better.
Absolutely.
This one hopefully should be even better than that one.
Yeah, but I wonder what was different.
Well, before you go forward with your comment, let me say this. This Cuban Shade cigar can be found here at Pearson Jeffries at 925 Providence Road in Seacane, PA, and on PearsonJeffries.com. This cigar, depending on the size, ranges anywhere from $8 to $9.95. It's a great buy, and if you are watching this podcast and you go on right now, you can get a 20% discount if you get a 5-pack.
And people,
ahead,
you
bro.
know I'm about them deals.
That.
I'm about them deals. If you come to the shop, $7.50, you get it. All day, every day, I'm about them deals, man.
You got to come to the shop. If you do that, you got to mention last name.
It's mention Smooth, and you got it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, man. Smooth.
You don't get it. You don't get it. But as I was listening to the last podcast that I unfortunately couldn't partake in, we allowed Brother Lamar to go through his cigar journey. We will be staples on this podcast week in and week out, so I think it's only right that we give our story on our journey through cigars as well. We know that story can be long, we short on time, so I just would like us to go around the room, give an abbreviated version on where we started.
You start.
I'll kick this thing off. For me, the golf course got me smoking cigars. Going out playing golf, older gentleman I played with on a consistent basis. We was playing every day. He was smoking. Like, boy, go ahead, try this. So I tried it. And Jeff, I never forget to this day. It was the Bahia Trinidad.
Okay.
And I smoked it every day.
Box press.
Absolutely.
Soft box press with an orange.
With an orange label.
Orange and purple, pink label. Orange is pink label.
Absolutely.
Yes. Something my wife would probably call mauve.
Hey. That cigar was fantastic for me.
Really?
For $3? Oh, man, I was smoking like a champ.
We were in heaven.
So after that, I started going to cigar lounges and experiencing more things, going into the lounges in the area and just trying different things and fell in love and started liking other cigars, was able to pick out hints of different flavors and things of that nature. And, I think I've been to every cigar lounge in this area of Delaware County. I haven't really traveled outside of here and been to some in Baltimore and other places, but everywhere I go, I like to frequent a cigar place, and fortunately, I landed here. Fortunately, I landed here. My man's partner introduced me to the place. Inside joke.
Funny. That's funny.
We'll have to tell that story another time.
Or not at all.
Or not at all.
Or not. I prefer not at all.
So that's where mine started, man. It was just a golf course thing until I started going to different lounges. And I bounced around from lounge to lounge until I came here, and I've been here ever since.
Found a home.
Found a home, absolutely. How about you,
What y'all do, Big Smoke?
Okay, my journey pretty much started like Lance's. My first cigar came on a golf course. As I was learning to play golf, somebody said, here, basically, gentlemen of leisure like to sit back and relax. And to me, there was a correlation between relaxation cigars, leisure, and then what I found out happening and I was 17 years old. If my mother knew I was smoking a cigar, she'd probably punch me in my head with a whole lot of love. However, I dabbled for a while, and how I really became a consistent cigar smoker was, I used to go visit a shop down on 9th and Oregon. Shout out to Brother Dominic. I had a very, very small shop. It used to be a store maybe about half the size of this in total length, and maybe about a quarter of this was a shop, and then in the back he had his office and a little eating area where he would have where he would have events. He would set the food up in the back, and he got my palate up And every time I went, he would have me try different things. And he would work with me within my budget. And I think the lovely thing about smoking cigars is a cigar will always fall within your budget. And then he moved from 9th and Oregon to Passyunk Avenue. And as he grew and started carrying more things than I grew, then unfortunately, he discontinued in the cigar business. And what I wound up doing was, since I didn't have my go-to guy, I had to wind up venturing out. And I drive a lot. I put about 30,000 miles a year on a vehicle. So as my travels throughout the city and the counties, I would pretty much hit cigar stores in the 5-county area, Philadelphia surrounding 5-county areas, from Philadelphia County to Montgomery County to Bucks County to Chester County, and most certainly in lovely Delaware County. And at that time, the cigar boom hadn't hit. We're talking about the late 90s.
Yeah, mid-90s to late 90s.
Right, but I'm talking about it.
95 on.
But it hadn't hit. It wasn't that many cigar stores.
You say that's when it was a boom around that time?
Well, actually, the boom didn't really hit until the early 2000s. You started to see more shops. But
The only game was in town in Philadelphia really was
Holtz, right.
Black Cat.
Right, and those larger cigars, the larger cigar stores. But you would go to Holtz, but you would find a shop that had been around for a while, that had its clientels. You had your Harry's, who had been around forever, because he's down there, but that's not his original location. He was across the street first. And I would hit all these stores, and you kind of saw the evolution of the cigar business. And as it evolved, obviously, I evolved. This shop here was referred to me, and I came here, and basically, like you, I fell in love. This was the place for me. And I love this store so much because, believe it or not, as the blender himself challenges us and our palate, I believe that you and I challenge him to become not only a better blender, but to produce better cigars. Because
Even when I think something is great,
Yeah.
even y'all can be a pain.
right,
Yeah.
because he has set such a high standard of quality. Quality is standard, or standard of quality, however you want to put it. That construction is great, the product is great. It burns consistently, the flavor is consistent. As we talked about the Maduro was just as great the first time as it was 100th time, and I'm pretty sure the 1000th time it'll be great. And that's how I wound up here. But it was all to help a lot of bad cigars. And when you
Not here though.
not here, but I'm talking about through my journey, a lot of bad cigars, to where I said to myself, I don't want to smoke that. And you develop a palate, and also you develop go-tos, because there's some cigars for other manufacturers that stay pretty consistent, and then you come to find out there are also some manufacturers who change up their product year to year, and I wasn't aware based on availability. Crop changes from year to year, and you can get into that kind of stuff a little bit later.
Well, my cigar story is a little different. Kind of touches me a little close to my heart. Before I get into
Can
it,
I cut you off 1 second? Mr. Bougie here has not started off like us common folk.
We can't talk about that either.
okay. What I'm saying, first of all, let me say this. This Cuban shade cigar is smoking beautifully. I mean, look how it's burning. If you guys can see this, I mean, I haven't relit it again at all. I haven't touched it up. And when I draw on it, it's like smoking on a spicy cloud. It is unbelievable. I'm really, really liking it. But getting back to my cigar story, I started late, and it wasn't something I looked to do. basically. My number one, my best friend, Dennis C. Butler, was courting a girl that he wanted to date in Atlantic City, and she worked at that time for Caesar's Palace. And we had tickets to Lennox Lewis fight at Caesars, and we went down, we saw the fight, and she allowed us to go upstairs into the High Rollers Club, which was called the Maharaji Club. Well, the Maharaji Club, when you go in there, is really a high-end. I knew nothing about cigars, and I knew nothing about actually alcohol. I didn't drink or smoke at the time. But because, he was trying to do his thing, and we was out together, he said, dog, if we're going to sit in this room, man, we got to at least have some cognac. I said, I don't really drink, but okay, I'll give it a shot. The glass looks nice. So they brought out 2 small snifters of cognac. He said, we sitting in here, man, we got to have a cigar. Don't have no cigars. They don't sell cigars. And he pulls 2 out of his pocket. So apparently this was planned. Apparently.
Do you remember the brand?
I do remember the brand. It was a Macanudo Portofino in a silver tube.
Yeah.
And again, I had never smoked anything in my life. But
20s, 30s?
Say that again?
20s, 30s?
35.
You said you started late. Yeah.
35. So, we peeled the tips off these cigars because we had no cutters. And the bar had a match on it. And I'm trying to light this thing with a match, not knowing what I'm doing. But once I saw some smoke coming out of it, I puffed on a little bit, and it was okay. I mean, it was all about the night, all about being there. And the cigar, I might have smoked an inch or so of it, and I didn't think any more of it. Miami, 6 months later, in Florida, doing some business with some people. And I met a family that is one of the oldest families down there. They're Cuban, and they make their own cigars. And they said, do you smoke cigars? I said, I had one cigar. And I told them what it was. They said, okay, let's show you how to cut and light a cigar and try this. And I liked it. And the rest is history. I always wanted to get into it. I never thought I would get into it this far. But here we are. I'm kind of an extremist, so everything I like to do, I like to be the best at it, and I like to do it to death. And from those 2 experiences, this is what has come out of it. A cigar lounge with some great people, I believe some great products, and we're growing. We're now doing a podcast. We sell cigars online, and we're doing bigger and better things every day. And the best part for me, which I was told by a very, very old Cuban guy, was when I first started learning about how to blend cigars, that I had a virgin palate, and there was no better way to start. But that's my story.
I call, you said bougie. I call him a cigar snob.
Yeah. Because
there are a lot of things that I do that he said, why would you do that? Come back and light a cigar a little bit later. I work at night, so it's nothing for me to start a cigar on my way to work, do my shift, hell, do a double, and come out and relight that cigar.
16 hours later?
16 hours.
Absolutely.
And then what he'll say is, hey, what you smoking? I'm smoking. I think last week I was smoking a 770. Oh yeah, you lit that? I said, man, I lit this last night. He said, after you left here? The one I lit while I was here, and it's a no-no. But the moral of the story is, because he's a cigar snob and because he has such a high standard of quality, that the consumer and the smoker benefits from his snobbery.
Absolutely.
And I thank him for that.
I appreciate that too. What we didn't do also is we're drinking some great classic French roast mixed with a little bit of coquito from the holiday. I guess we're still having a little holiday cheer. How's your coquito and coffee?
I gave you a compliment, so it must be holiday time. But my coquito and coffee is fabulous. I got it right, and I guess Lance got his right, and I had to put some more coffee in there because other than that, I might be singing nice like this, but excellent.
Sucks, man. So, last weekend, we had the Tank Davis fight. You guys, as I always say, I like boxing, but I never really say I'm a boxing aficionado because I think I have years of watching boxing to analyze it on a level that you guys could. I like to always defer to you. I'll give my opinion on what I saw, but I just want to get you guys' opinion on what you think of that Tank Davis and Gamboa fight.
You want me to go? I'll let Stu go first.
Let's do go first.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go smoke.
First of all, Yoriorkis Gamboa is the epitome of a true warrior. When they say you leave it all on the field, on the court, on the ring, the man towards Achilles, wanted to tap out. I don't believe that his corner would have put him in any peril if they knew that his injury was as severe as it was, because they believed it was a bad shoe as opposed to a bad foot. But he stood up there and he put his life on the line. And although it was in defeat, it could be seen as an act of courage, as an act of total perseverance. Gervonta Tank Davis needs to go back into the lab. He was out of shape, had trouble making weight.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
He had trouble making weight?
He had trouble making
Day
weight.
of the fight.
Not the day of the fight, the day of
before-
the
'cause they had to
weigh-in.
get the weigh-in.
The day of the weigh-in, they gave him another hour
So that was,
to drop 1.5 pounds, and he did.
that was the day before. Then.
Right? No, the day of the weigh-in. The weigh-in's Thursday.
No, the wins. It's the
Friday.
Thursday. It's Friday.
No, it's Thursday. The weigh-in's Thursday.
It's usually a day before.
Unless they change the rules. But
Right, but
that's
no,
neither here nor there.
it's generally Thursday. Then
If you have a
Thursday.
fight on Saturday,
Yes,
usually
generally
the day before.
Yeah, but
Used to be the day of.
we could check the weigh-in, check the date of the weigh-in.
Absolutely, as we do in the shop.
Please,
Fact check it all,
please.
at all times.
Google makes us all geniuses.
Yes.
I know, man.
No, but I mean, no disrespect to you, but
I know, bro. Come on, man. You
the
just
way
say
it-
worse.
Absolutely.
Disrespect.
Hey, listen, we family, and when I would never discuss family business
Facts.
in front of other people. However, he did make weight. Looked like Mr. Davis didn't hit the road. He was ill prepared. After I think one of the show and tell moment was when he was doing the interview. Even 5 minutes later after the fight, he was still breathing and sucking for air.
Absolutely.
That tells me everything, that he was not prepared. Now, if he goes in against, I mean, the fighter was 12 years older and on a bad wheel, and he had been dropped several times. It tells the story that he needs to stop partying. He needs to take his craft a lot more serious, because he's going to wind up not only being embarrassed, but he could be seriously hurt. And I hope that doesn't happen to the young man. But unimpressed was I with Mr. Davis last Saturday.
Before you go, Jay,
I think the book is still out on.
before you go,
I'm-
just a quick fact check.
yes.
The boxing weigh-in is the day before. It used to be the day
That's
of
what I said.
in fights, yeah. Just look,
Yeah.
That's it.
When were the weigh-in?
27th. on
Okay,
Friday.
good.
Yeah, but I read that it used to be the day of
Good. Amen.
fights.
Amen.
See, I don't need Google. Not when it comes to boxing.
Hey, man.
Listen, I said it.
Hey.
You should believe it. We got some people that he say that came here. You believe it? It's true. He know who I'm talking about.
Right.
Really. But anyway, Tank. I'm not giving up on him yet. I think the book is still out on him. Yeah, he definitely needs to take his craft seriously. I think that because he had to make weight the day before, and he thought, he had already trained, so he was probably depleted.
Mm-hmm.
The sad part about him was he was fighting a guy that was 11, 12 years, his senior, and with a bad foot, and he couldn't take him out at all. I believe if Gamboa was healthy throughout that entire fight, he would have given him a lot of trouble or maybe even beat him.
Right.
Now, we've never seen Tank hurt, but we've never seen anybody go in the ring that had the punching power that he had. But he didn't look good at all. And by the 8th, 9th round, which based on, his history, he hasn't been past the 9th round because he's knocking everybody out. But by the 8th or 9th round, he was winded. So much so that his corner told him to try to slow your breathing down and take deep breaths. The man couldn't breathe at all. And we had a couple of rounds, I think it was maybe 9th, 10th, where you halfway through the round, he only threw 2 punches.
You're right. I think one total, he had 13 punches in one round.
Exactly. So he had a bad showing. What bailed him out of this fight was his power. And it took him until the 11th round to do it. 11th or 12th. When was
the
the
12th?
It was a 12.
It was the 12th. The man went 10 rounds on one leg.
Being as though that it was the 12th round, I believe that the referee should have gave Gamboa the benefit of the doubt and let him go out on the shield as opposed to stopping it. I thought it was the 11th. But being as though it was the 12th, he should have let the man get up, hold, and finish. But, you know, Tank had that. He can't have that kind of blemish on his record because he's knocked out everybody except one person, I believe.
Sure.
I believe. But it was a bad showing. Really was. And if he get in the ring with anybody, your boy Lomachenko, what's your boy's name from
Devin
Philly?
Haney.
Devin Haney. What's the other guy?
Oh, man. I know who you're talking about, too.
Yes, I can't remember his name. But anybody in this weight class that has the skill set.
Gary Russell Jr.
If you get in the ring with those guys right now, he's going to have a bad day. This is just my opinion.
Yeah. See, to me, I mean, watching Tank over the years, at 135, he's had trouble making that weight a few times.
Well,
so is it time for him to go to 40?
No.
Or if you keep draining yourself to make 135, it's only a matter of time before you ain't the same coming in that fight.
The man said at the end of the fight,
no, he was 130.
He could fight at 130 or 135. What that tells me is that it's a discipline issue. Because he's only 25 years old.
Right, you talking about
but he's lean.
No, he's not. He
is fairly lean.
He's a little heavy.
You think so? He was very heavy.
He's heavy.
Well,
heavy.
He was definitely out of shape.
No, he's supposed to cut.
Yes.
A fighter's cut up like a bag of dope, whether he has natural cuts or not. He's definitely overweight when it comes to that.
For his weight class.
For his weight class.
Yes.
But he's been fighting at 130. He came up to 135 and had trouble making 135.
35, absolutely.
And
all his other fights were 130.
And he had trouble knocking out. He had trouble knocking out an old man on one leg at 135. He goes up to 140. It gets harder. As you go up in weight, it gets extremely harder because.
I agree. But what if it's not discipline? Maybe, what if his body just has a problem getting to that weight? Because for some boxers, that is a real issue. Their makeup isn't physically, can't physically deal with the demands of making that weight anymore.
That's normally about 30 years old.
He's 25, man.
That's normally about 30 years
old. Right trainers.
With his body frame?
That weight. He was too bulky. He had too much meat on him. And every other fight was at 130. He moved up to get this title, which was vacant, at 135, and he almost didn't make it. That's discipline, man.
He always been bulky, man.
Let me say this.
He ain't never been one of them like Mayweather type body type that's lean and cut up. He always been a bulky, carry a lot of muscle kind of guy.
Tommy Hearns was a 6'2", 147-pound welterweight. He went from 147 all the way up to 175, and I believe 185.
Okay.
So when you talk, and when he started out in his 20s and even to his late 20s, early 30s, he was fighting at 147, 154. It doesn't become an issue, and like the brother said, it's about discipline.
I agree with that.
But let me also tell you why it's discipline. Here's the one reason that's a sure it's a sure tell that it's discipline. By the 9th round, he was winded. You got boxers sitting on the ring, and they only have to be good. By the 9th round, he was winded in a 12-round fight. That's discipline. He's 25 years old. He's not listening to somebody, whether if it's trainer, manager, or his camp. But if you got a 12-round fight, you train for a 12-round fight. Of course, you can get a little tired.
You get a little tired.
But it's not like he was trained. He wasn't in a war with a Sean Porter. Of course, Sean is bigger than him.
Right.
But he didn't have a guy that was constantly crowding him. He had a couple of rounds that he only threw a few punches. It was discipline.
It could have been. I just not willing to rule out because he's a thicker guy that he can't. He will always have problems making that weight, even if his discipline was 100% on. That it's going to deplete him to make that weight, just for the way his body looks.
I believe that if he's not disciplined, he'll go to 140 and he'll still be winded in the 9th round. He needs to beat the rope.
Okay.
He needs to go the rope.
That remains to be seen.
And if he go up to 140, he's up there with people that are used to fighting at 140.
For sure.
And to go up 10 pounds in less than a year, that's 2 different weight classes. That's a lot.
It's been done.
Well, his buddy is a testament to the fact that it can't be done.
Who's his buddy?
Adrian Broner. 136, 140. I'm going up to 147. I remember the interview because I can't do this. My body can't make this weight no more. He went to 147 and got smashed.
Yeah, sure.
AB was fat in between fights.
Back down to 140.
AB was fighting. He was fat in between fights.
Well, not only that, but let's talk about this. In between the 2 Charlo fights, he was at every fight. He was hanging out with AB.
Right.
He was partying. He had an issue with discipline. That's all discipline.
For sure.
But I heard he did something great.
Yes.
In Baltimore.
So in Baltimore, a young lady was killed, 21 years old. Her name was Destiny Harris. She had her own hair salon where they not only did hair, but they sold the bundles of hair. And man, you guys got wives as well, so in the hair salon business, the fake hair is where the money's at. So she was selling hair.
We're gonna say hair to augment their beauty.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm for it. I'm
not
that looks
saying
good.
Not for it, but for our lady viewers.
For sure.
Women like to augment their beauty, and I knew they were selling hair that would augment their beauty. Yeah. Absolutely.
So she was doing hair, selling hair, had her own shop at 21 years old. She was robbed, held down, beat, robbed. They stole a lot of the hair she had in her shop. And like any law-abiding citizen that's doing the right thing, she went to the cops. She went to the cops and said, I know who it is. She knew who they were, so she told. Lo and behold, a few days later, she's in her shop, and she gets murdered, shot and killed with a shop full of people with witnesses and everything.
Wow.
Nobody's coming forward to say anything, but Tank did step up and say that he'll cover whatever expenses it is for this young lady. But it's just mind-boggling because you have a young woman doing her thing, being an entrepreneur, and get gunned down in the very neighborhood that she's trying to show that you can do it too,
Well, I think Tank should be commended, of course, for paying for her funeral, really. For her to be taken out for stepping up and trying to protect herself, basically, and telling what happened to her, that's a tragedy. It really is. But, it's a really, really bad story, but I don't want it to discourage any entrepreneurs.
Sure.
Because entrepreneur here in these United States is the way to go. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed because I'm smoking this cigar so fast.
You need this?
This is a great cigar.
I'm about halfway through, man. How do you like it?
I'm about a 3.5-inch mark myself. It's like it's falling off, crumbling as I put it to my lips. I don't know what's going on.
Again, it's the Cuban Shade, a beautiful Connecticut Shade cigar. If you like Connecticut Shades, this is not your normal Connecticut Shade. It's not. Most Connecticut Shades, a lot of them are bland and they lack flavor, but this cigar is packed with flavor. It smokes like a chimney. It's spicy, it's creamy, it's smooth, has a lot of flavor. Again, you can find this cigar here at Pearson Jeffries at 925 Providence Road in Seacane, PA, or you can go to pearsonjeffries.com and find this cigar. If you go while you're looking at this podcast, you'll get a 20% discount. And if you come into the shop and mention Smooth, you can get one for $7.50.
About them deals, man. About them deals.
But Yours, Lance.
So
How you
look,
like it so far?
for me, you always know this is a staple in my week-to-week smoking. I will say though, I did get away from it from a little while once you introduced the red clay.
Mm-hmm.
I was smoking that pretty much maybe twice a day while I was here.
Mm-hmm.
But to get back to it, you gave me this torpedo, I believe, one day last week or before the holidays.
I did.
And that was my first time having a torpedo. And in this size, I think it's very well balanced throughout.
Well, people disregard the torpedo, man, and why I don't know. It's one of my favorite sizes. The reason why is your normal torpedo is usually 6.5 or 6 1/8 by 52. Now, of course, you can make them bigger, but basically, what you're smoking is a Toro with a pointed tip.
For sure.
Now, the best thing about the torpedo, I believe, is you can gauge how much smoke you want to get out of this cigar because you can cut the tip off 1/4 of an inch. And to me, it fits better in your mouth because I'm not a big cigar guy.
Pause.
Basically, and you can cut it even more if you want to get a lot more smoke, depending on the cigar. The best thing about a lot of different cigars is, some cigars you have to smoke differently than others. Some cigars you actually have to humidify differently than others, based on the size, based on not really the shape, but based on the ring gauge. But this cigar, being a torpedo, when you smoke a torpedo and it's cut properly, it should smoke very, very well. Really should.
The nuttiness is unmatched, though.
And you want to know what I also found out about torpedoes? Depending on how you cut them, as you start to smoke and the smoke funnels down into the torpedo, the flavor gets a lot more intense. I found that with Salomon's, and I find that with torpedoes. And I just you're gonna hear it for the first time on this podcast, and I'm gonna say it. You need to make a pyramid, brother.
Yeah. It's funny, man. I call it a bullhorn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Bullhorn.
Absolutely.
It's funny, man. You must be in my head because I was thinking about that about maybe 2 weeks ago.
It reminds me of an ice cream cone.
Yes. I was thinking about that about 2 weeks ago. I can't remember the name of the cigar that used to make those religiously. I can't remember the name.
I can't either because I saw it. I thought it was I actually go to a cigar event every year, and it was huge. I mean, it was huge. Came down to a nice, and I smoked it, and it was pretty good. It's very intense.
Mm-hmm.
Maduro was very, very intense, and as it got down halfway through, it got even more intense, and I really, really enjoyed flavor. But I would like to see you make a pyramid. I would.
Well, I'll give it some thought.
So we closed a decade, 2019 to 2020.
Yes. We're in the brand new decade, man.
Right. He
Brand
said
new decade. Where were you when the year came in?
this year, where was I at? I was at work.
Really? How about you, Lance?
I was sitting on the couch. We on a 3-person couch. I got my wife here, my daughter here, and literally my son is laying across all 3 of us on the
Sleep, right?
couch.
Sleep, right?
What better way?
Trying to stay awake.
What better way? man?
Everybody,
what better way? Exactly.
everybody together.
Absolutely.
Everybody
Yes,
together.
What better way?
Yep.
My kids are a little older now, so they were actually out partying, but I spent it the way that I've been spending it for the last 30 years. And to me, it's no better way. Sitting with my wife, watching the ball drop, and reminding her that this is the 30th year that we've actually been together watching the ball drop. Now, we've been married 27, but we actually was the first time that we actually brung in the new year together was 1989. I know it makes you sound old. I don't look that old, but
Yeah.
it makes you sound old.
You ain't
But
know,
it was just like the rest of the other 29. It was great. Really was.
To me, holidays are definitely for family, and this is the first year that I worked Christmas Day because I kind of felt my youngest, she'll be 19 this month, and we did all the things with the kids. Now
Right.
it's somebody else's turn.
For sure.
And I actually went to work December the 25th, and I actually went to work December 31st and January the 1st, so some other people could enjoy their families. It was funny. I worked December the 27th. I did a double from 26th to the 27th, and a young lady who has the same rank that I had says to me, "Did I get mandated to work 62?"
Right.
I said, you called out. You didn't give a damn whether I spent time with my family or not. And she looked me dead in my face and said, "You're right." And I laughed for a whole hour because, holiday season is what it's about. It's about family. And that made me feel good that LJ was across his whole family's lap.
Absolutely. Great
in the
picture.
midst of his whole family.
For sure.
And that's the way holiday is supposed to be. And it's only fitting that we have it at the end of the year because we recharge our batteries, we rethink what we're going through the last year. We forecast and plan what we want to do in the upcoming year. It screws our head on straight. And hopefully how we feel at the end of the year and ultimately the beginning of the year carries throughout in all our endeavors.
Absolutely.
Well, I would like to say this. We're about to wrap this thing up. Stay tuned for the next Chimney Effect. I'm not sure
Not
what
yet.
cigar we're going to profile.
Not yet.
Uh,
Not yet.
Not yet. What?
Still got one more topic.
Okay.
And plenty time.
How much time do we have left?
20 minutes.
Oh, okay. I thought you
We
said
can
20
edit that
seconds. Then we got time.
So I just want to circle back to, I guess, 2 episodes ago now. Mike brought up that in Virginia, they're coming up some laws for the Second Amendment rights. So we didn't get into too much detail on it, but I did go back and just research what was going on because at that time, if we talked about it, I really couldn't even give an opinion on it. But it appears that I guess he's the former governor. Bloomberg was the former governor of New York.
Mayor of New York.
Mayor of New York.
Yeah.
Mayor of New York.
Former mayor of New York. He's introduced legislation in Virginia to where they're not giving up their Second Amendment right completely. However, they are trying to ban all assault rifles, so AR-15s and AK-47s, and they're saying if you own one, you got to turn it in. If you don't turn it in, you get caught with it, you can get hit with a felony charge.
What do you think about that? You're a lawman.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. How do I feel about that? This country is based on because how this country was formed. A bunch of rebels and a bunch of renegades. The first duty of a nation is to defend itself.
Correct.
The United States, Japan said it did not invade the United States because they said behind every blade of grass is an armed American. One of the reasons that nobody wants to invade this place is because everybody is armed. I believe it's the staple on which this country is established, and it sets a heck of a precedent because the citizens need to protect themselves. It keeps government honest because a lot of my coworkers are law-abiding gun owners.
They need to protect themselves with
And they-
AR-15s.
Well, what you know what they
Right,
say.
that's what I'm saying.
Well,
But
listen,
AR-15s, AKs.
if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
That's true.
You never know. We've talked about one of the atrocities in this country, obviously during a different time, an episode in this country. I believe that a lot of the atrocities happened to blacks because they were not armed and they could not defend themselves. You never heard about the old black guy sitting on the farm, on his porch, with a shotgun and his rocking chair and his dog was ever taken advantage of. And the everyday average citizen believes that to protect the sanctity of this country, if they can defend themselves, people will think twice about taking advantage of them. And it seems to hold true. I don't own a weapon. I don't own a weapon yet, but it seems like those that are armed to protect themselves, very few people want a target that's going to fight back. Very few.
What you think, Hefe?
You know, the old statement that, you know, people don't steal when they know they're being watched. It's almost the same thing. But, I mean, I own a weapon. I'm fortunate to say I've never had to use it.
Amen.
Do I feel a little better that I have it in my house? Absolutely. But I'm glad I never had to use it. But assault rifles, AR-15s, you know, I don't know. You know, I can't give you a in-depth depiction of why they would need that. I mean, wartime, you know, you got a big plot of land that you need to defend, and you got some other people up there that are defending with you. Okay, yeah, you can have any type of armory that you need. But for regular citizens in your house, do you need an AR-15 or something like it? I don't think so. I don't. But that's just me, just an opinion. How about yourself?
I think I'm on the line with that too. I don't see why such weaponry is needed just for your everyday citizen to protect themselves. I'm all for protecting yourselves. However, I guess over the last decade or so, you see that there's been a lot of mass shootings, and I mean, those guns in the wrong hands can do a lot of damage. Now, the shooting is going to happen regardless, but I can do a lot more damage going in there with a AR-15 than a 9mm.
Well, a bullet is a bullet.
A bullet is a bullet, but I'm saying I can take out a lot more people, and I just don't see. I don't need an AR-15 to protect my house or protect my family. I do think it's worth looking at. I don't agree with the felony charge if they don't turn it in. I'm of the mindset I wouldn't be opposed for them being grandfathered in, but when you grandfather them in, that guns could still hit the black market. So I have no problem with that being taken off the market completely.
You know what's funny? We say that because I am in no way, shape, or form a gun enthusiast. I am not.
Oh yeah.
No,
That's
what I'm saying. And I was working in my lieutenant, who's a gun enthusiast. Him and another coworker of mine were talking about some of the rifles that they built, and he has about $5,000-6,000 in his one rifle. And Haywood said last night, Stu, the brother tried to put another hole in the moon. But he said if the feds want my guns, all they got to do is come to my house and come take them. And we know they're not going to come take them. But if it goes the other way, this country goes into anarchy and it goes the other way, I believe that you wish you would have bought that AR-15. If it goes the other way.
If it goes the other way, we have a really, really, really good customer here. His name is Rodney. And if it goes the other way, I'm going to make my way, me and my family, to Rodney's house.
Word.
Because I think that we'd be good, because Rodney probably has more guns than they have here in the state.
I think Rodney got enough to protect about 15, 16 families.
Absolutely. And he could definitely protect mine, because that's where we're going.
And
I'm going with my gun.
Because I don't own a weapon at all either. And I don't think I'll ever buy one.
I think that, and politically speaking, and we were talking about that in Virginia, I don't believe that it's ironic. I don't believe that it's a coincidence that the National Rifle Association headquarters are in Virginia, and I think they're trying to send a message.
Well, it's always a message, and it's always just another half that we know nothing about.
Absolutely.
What you're reading, the legislation, what they're trying to do, there's always a backstory that we will never know about. That could be just something trying to squeeze the NRA to do something that they don't want to do. But
sure.
On another note, real quick, I'm definitely halfway through this Cuban Shade, and it is beautiful. It really is. I mean, I'm going to smoke it more often. You know, we have so many different cigars here that you tend not to smoke some of your favorites or what used to be your favorites all the time. And this cigar, it's gotten more flavorful. It's still burning cool. It's burning even. The draw is perfect. It's not laying on your palate. It's not heavy, but you get so much flavor from it. It's now, for me, it's gotten woodsy. It's gotten a little bit more smooth, but that woodsy taste now is prevalent, and it's going great with this French roast and coquito.
Now you know what I've actually done in the last, I would say, about 4 months, is you have enough blends that I don't necessarily form a rotation. I'll go Doro, Habano, Connecticut, and I actually had a Cuban shade maybe about 2 weeks ago, and it takes me about 3 weeks to go through everything that you have, and then I start all over again. And next time I go through, I appreciate something different about your cigar. Another note that I picked up, and then I'll go back again, and I'm just circling and really enjoying the cigar over and over and over again.
We now have a female police chief in the city of Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely.
Young African American lady
Police chief?
that is
Yes.
doing her thing.
I didn't know that.
What do you guys think about that?
Personally, we knew that they were going to probably bring somebody from outside. It seems like it goes within, without, going back to Chimney, Neal. We have Commissioner Willie Williams. We had Chimney, Neal. Then we had Mr. Ramsey. Then we had Mr. Harris. And I might have missed somebody in between. Please charge it to my head and not to my heart. I don't want to offend anyone. If I forgot somebody, please forgive me.
Go longer.
And now this young lady, I know she was a patrolman in Oakland, and then went up to Portland, who has a, they said they had a force, maybe 1/10 or 1/6 the size of Philadelphia, and the population was 1/3, 500,000 as opposed to 1.5 million. So she's going to have some challenges. As well as we all know, Philadelphia is a city of neighborhoods, and they have to form allegiances and alliances within city to get anything done. And hopefully her officers or her force will soldier up, get behind her, and support her in the execution of the policies, procedures of the Philadelphia Police Department.
Man. For me, man, I think it's just I can't really speak for things going on in Philly or things like that, or how Philly has been, how it is now. Even though I live in this area, I'm still not connected with anything, I would say, that's going on in Philly. However, I will say, if she was the best candidate for the job, I'm so happy that she got it. Now, I truly believe that women are overlooked. A lot of times, especially minority women, are overlooked for such positions. And I'm proud that, not only proud that she got it, I hope that she does a phenomenal job, because women do get overlooked in such positions. So kudos to her. I hope she does a great job.
Absolutely.
For the city.
I hope she does a great job. I know that she probably has a long road ahead of her. She's just getting started, but I'm sure that they picked her for a reason, and I'm sure she'll do a great job.
For sure.
Maybe one day we can actually, if she smokes cigars, have her here on the show.
Absolutely.
Would love to have her.
That'd be dope.
Would love to have her
on the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How's the cigar treat you?
I think I'm about further than you are, size-wise. I know I started itch further than you. It's
Hey, man.
tremendous. It got a lot more intense.
I'm about
Yeah,
to
it did.
I'm about to have to take my wrapper off, because
I'm not
this
there
is
yet, but
this is one of my
you guys can
favorites.
see, look at this thing, man. It's burning beautifully. I mean, if you are truly, I have to say, I can't say this enough. If you are just starting out with cigars and you like Connecticut shade cigars and you want a Connecticut shade with some flavor, with a little bit of a punch, and you don't have to be afraid of it, because a lot of guys, a lot of women are afraid of cigars because they think they're strong. This cigar is not strong. The flavor is prevalent. It doesn't sit on your palate. The draw is perfect. And if you like a cigar that's a little nutty, and when you get past the halfway point, gets very woodsy, but still smooth, I can't say it's enough, man. It's like smoking a flavored cloud, because it rolls off your palate like powder. It's beautiful. It really is. If I say so myself.
Well, I can't get enough of it.
Don't you make this in a bullet?
Yes, he does make it in a bullet. However, as we always end this joint when I'm here, Jeff, where are you located?
925 Providence Road, Pecan, PA. Come to Pearson Jeffries. We have more than enough seats for you. If you can't make it here and you need some cigars, go online to pearsonjeffries.com. And if you're local, what will be coming to your local area is the Cigar Drop, which is a service that we'll be offering where you'll be able to go online and order cigars, and they're delivered right to your door same day. So if you really need it, and if you're jonesing, or if you have an event that you need cigars for, go online, click on Cigar Drop, pick what you want, and before you blink, it'll be out to you.
And guys, I always end it with Jeff, where are we located? Is because when you come here, it's such a community environment that you'll feel like you're at home and you're a part of the Pearson Jeffries brand. Appreciate you for joining us. We out.
We're not really out yet, man. We still got some time.
4 minutes?
We got 4 minutes, man.
What are we going to do in 4 minutes?
Here's what we can do.
Well, Avant wrote a song in 4 minutes.
Hey.
And Ray Rhythms over there can, as Stu say, can sing, rap, and dance in about 2 minutes.
But I was going to say, but I just did that in case we stick with it there, but I told Ray let it go longer because I want to introduce one more topic that we can put in through editing.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, well, wait a second. But before we do that, you know, if you smoke them, if you got them, smoke them.
Oh, wait a minute.
If you don't have them, we got them. So
we got the Eagles playing this week.
Yes.
We got
the
Baltimore
Eagles
playing next week.
Yes. We got playoffs.
We got the playoffs
tomorrow
and Sunday.
and
We'll be here.
Yes.
Obviously.
Cigars will be here. A little bit more of this coquito will be here.
We'll be here. But the Eagles got a home game.
Yes. We face Seattle. I don't know how well it's going to go, but I'm rooting for them.
I think the Eagles might
pull it off.
I think they might pull it off. I just got a feeling they're gonna pull it off. Whoever plays Baltimore the next 3-4 weeks, or whoever shows up in Baltimore, I hope they got their hard hat. I hope they got their lunch pail. I hope they got their blackjack in their back pocket, because Baltimore is a tough out. Period.
Yes.
And you know this is hard for me to give Lance and his city any credit.
Hard.
It's baby Philly. It's baby Philly.
Baltimore.
It's baby Philly.
Baltimore.
Yeah, baby Philly. But
And it's Baltimore.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both Philadelphia and Baltimore have something to be excited about.
Facts.
Definitely this week, Philadelphia has something to be excited. Hopefully it runs longer than a week, and Baltimore has something exciting next week. In a perfect scenario, in this shop, nothing would be better than a Philadelphia-Baltimore Super Bowl. That way, everybody in here would be extremely happy.
I would like to say this too. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you guys had a good New Year, and we are expecting a spectacular year to come. So, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year.
All right, Lance, now do your thing.
We out.
The Chimney Effect has been a presentation of Pearson Jeffries Cigar and Coffee Lounge, located at 925 Providence Road in Seacane, Pennsylvania. You can also find us online at pearsonjeffries.com.